everyone, and welcome to Unlocking the Power of Autodesk Fusion with Extensions. My name is Juliana, and I work in marketing here at MicroCAD. And today's presenter is Jose, our applications specialist. In today's webinar, we'll present the newest edition of Autodesk Fusion Extensions and explore the capabilities you can get with this powerful tool. As usual, throughout the webinar, you can ask a question on the left-hand corner, and you can ask Jose to revisit a step or ask any questions. And in the left-hand corner, we have also our social media, website, and YouTube channel. We also have there our website registration for all of our webinars, so you can go there and register. And even if you cannot make it, you will get the recording. Without further ado, I'll pass it on to Jose. Hi, Jose.
Hi, Juliana. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here again. Today, we're going to be talking about the extensions we got available in Fusion. So, just real quick, let me share my screen. There we go. All right, so I think this is kind of an important issue as well, like very similar as with the product design and manufacturing collection, because of the most recent changes that we've seen on Autodesk Fusion. For starters, Fusion is no longer Fusion 360. The software has been rebranded, so right now it's just Fusion. And you might remember that with Fusion, there are many capabilities that we can unlock depending on what we need. Those capabilities are called the extensions. So basically, we get with Fusion, the new brand name, all the basic functionality that we had before, with many of the tools that you were already familiar with, as design, as 2D manufacture, as rendering, drawings, static simulation, model simulation, PCB design, all of that. And now the extensions that we had before were reorganized in 5 new, not categories, because each one of these is actually a new extension, right? But each one of these extensions now include capabilities from some other extensions that we had before available, okay? So right now, Autodesk comes in, let's say, 5 flavors, although you can mix them up, obviously. You can get all the extensions that you want and that you need as well. We got the design extension, the manage extension, manufacturing, signal integrity, and simulation. So some of these names might be familiar to you already, but you might be wondering what happened with the other ones. All right. So this is how this has been organized. The design extension is pretty much the same as it was before. All the plastic design tools, volumetric lattices, all of those tools are still there. The managed extension, it's basically the same as well. No changes there. It's roughly the same. The signal integrity extension with Fusion is maintained as well. It works in the PCB design. That's for electronics. And the ones that were changed are the simulation extension and the manufacturing extension. So basically, before we had a separate simulation and generative design extensions, right? So now the generative design has been merged with the simulation extension in one single unit, right? So this is now called the simulation extension. So you get the functionality of these 2 tools in one single tool. And for the manufacturing extension, this one is a new rebrand. Okay, so before we had the machining extension, though that was basically for everything that's machining related. So 2D milling or 3D milling, 5-axis, 4-axis, 2D cuts, all those things, right? We had another extension called the nesting and fabrication one. That's for managing how we would set up in one single sheet of metal or material. It can be usually any material, a shape, and optimize the amount of material that I can get from my single shape. And we have the additive build extension. So that's everything 3D printing related. So before we had those three, and now the three tools are merged in one single manufacturing extension. Okay. So this brings a lot of value for the tools that you're purchasing. Okay. So you don't need, for example, if you need to use the generative design and then send that to simulation, you don't need to purchase two separate extensions. All those two are included in one single bundle, if you will. Okay. Same for the manufacturing one. And the reason for this is because of the workflows that we usually see in Fusion, right? People of Autodesk have realized that in most of the cases, for example, for simulation, generative design is taking a lot of advantages, changing the game in the way that we design products. And you need to validate always. You need to validate the new design. So you should send that into simulation. So it doesn't make sense to have two separate extensions for that, right? Same for the manufacturing one. Probably you on your company, you may focus only on machining, on 3D machining, for example. But if you have other tools, for example, if you have a larger workshop, you have 2D cutting tools. Many people are using 3D printers for the workflow. That's increasing as every day. So it's very, very, very common that you need all of these tools together, right? So that's why they're all merged together. So what we're gonna do today is basically just a very, very quick introduction on how the tools look like and what can I unlock in Fusion when I'm using those. We're not gonna dwell a lot into how each one of these work. Probably it would be better to have like webinar series, I guess, on each one of those extensions, so we can take a deeper look into each one of those. But for today, we're just going to look at how the extensions work in Fusion, what they unlock. All right. So when you're getting just regular plain vanilla Fusion, you might be able, or you might have noticed that you see this kind of light socket kind of icon, right? So each time you see these icons, that means that feature is being locked by an extension. And if you try to click on one of those, you're going to get a message that that tool is supposed to work with an extension, right? So for example, if you're working on the design environment of Fusion and you go to the plastic tab, you will be able to see that many of the tools there are supposed to work only with the design with the design extension. So the first one, right? Same if you're getting in the manufacturer environment, okay? So you see that if you're working with just 2D features or 3D operation, like very simple operations in 3D, you will be able to work on those, right? You will be able to do a setup. You will be able to do 2D operations. You will be able to do some 3D operations as adaptive clearing, as parallel machining, those kind of things. But if you need more complex tools, if you need to work on multi-axis, that's 4-axis, 5-axis, or if you need to edit your toolpaths, those are the kind of features that are included with the manufacturing extension, okay? So this is how it will look if you don't have the extensions activated. If the extension is activated, you will be able to use any of those tools with no restrictions at all right? But that's for some of those tools, especially the ones that may be inside of other environments, like the design or the manufacturing. Okay, if you try to do generative design, for example, you will see this kind of message. You will see that this feature or this environment is available as part of the simulation extension. Correct. So you can't manage from here your extensions, or you can access them in your extension manager as well. All right. Now, depending on what you need for the extension, you might want to subscribe to the extension, right? For 1 year or 3 years, however long you need. Or you can use tokens as well to use the extensions. This makes a lot of sense. For example, if you're working with simulations, but this is not something that you do on a daily basis. Maybe you're used to work on, or the way they usually work is you make a design, you get all your inputs, emails back and forth, or maybe you manage all of that in a better way with your customers, all your stakeholders. And at some stage, just 1 day or 2 days in the month, you need to actually run your simulation. Okay, so you can purchase tokens and you can use those tokens to run your simulations. For example, this is a window that comes up when you're in the simulation environment. Fusion is letting you know if you want to run a static stress study, you don't need any tokens. That comes with Fusion. So you can do as many static stress studies as you want with regular Fusion. But now, if you want to do model frequencies, or if you want to do thermal analysis, shape optimization, those kind of things, you need to purchase 3 tokens. Or to run the simulation, that's going to cost you 3 tokens. Okay. Or if you need a more complex analysis, say a nonlinear static, or injection molding, or dynamic simulation, that's going to cost you 6 tokens. All right. So the philosophy behind on how extensions work, it's that you just purchase what you need at the time that you need it. All right. So it's very flexible. You can subscribe if this is something you do on a daily basis, or if you want to purchase tokens and use them as you go, you can do that as well. All right. In some of the tools, like on the PCB design, for example, you might find that there are just very, very single features that are locked by the extension, right? So it's always a good idea to check where you will be able to see or what you will be able to unlock using the extensions, okay? So we're gonna move into Fusion. And for starters, we're gonna take a look at this icon up here, all right? So that's gonna show you what extensions are available, what extensions you have active. Fortunately here, I have all of them active, so I can show you how they work, and I can basically work with any of those, right? So let's say that I want to explore the signal integrity one, all right? So I will be able to see an overview on what the signal integrity extension does. So basically that's for signal analysis when I'm designing PCBs, right? And I will be able to see what's included here with my extensions and where I can find it. So this is a very cool feature that brings a lot of light into the extensions. Extensions, this is kind of a topic that throws some people off because it's too much to see, too much to learn. It wasn't very clear how it works, right? But for right now, it's very, very well organized. You always want to start from your extensions bottom up here, and you want to see what the extension does and where I can find what the extension is supposed to do, right? So for example, if I want to do impedance matching with my signal integrity extension, Fusion is letting me know, okay, so you will be able to find this tool on the 2D PCB toolbar, that is when you're working with a PCB, on the simulation tab, analyze signal. Okay, so the analyze signal panel and analyze signal tool, right? For this one, basically that's the only thing that's unlocked there. But let's take a look at more interesting one, at least for the kind of work that I do. For example, the design extension. This is going to unlock a lot of plastic design features, for example. So I will be able to see where all of this is managed. So if I want to include or manage plastic rules, that is establish some rules on the design that I'm going to run, that is the thickness for the parts that I'm going to run, how big the radius should be for all the parts, basically manage in a very similar way as managing a sheet metal part. I can find those plastic rules with the design extension under the plastic tab on the setup panel and assign plastic rule, all right? Or if I want to manage those, I will find the plastic rules on right under the assign plastic rule as well. Or if I want to take a look at the plastic design tools, well, I can use the boss tool. So Fusion is letting me know, okay, so if you get the design extension, you will be able to use the boss tool that's found under design, plastic, create, boss, okay? Or snap fit, or if I want to create a rip, or if I want to create a web. Actually, this one is already included, but whatever. Or if I want to create a rest on my part, all right? So it's a very good idea if we take a look at all of the information on my extensions window, all right? Just so we are aware on what they do, what they unlock, and what value can it bring for my workflow, right? So what we're going to do here is just a very, very, very basic exploration on what they look in Fusion, all right? So we're going to start with our simulation extension. I guess the reason for that is because this is my favorite one. And what I'm going to show here is not only simulation, but I'm going to start with the generative design, right? So this is one of the most useful tools, well, depending on the type of work that you do. But this is one of the coolest tools that has come out on Fusion recently. Okay, so we can access the generative design from our environment selector right there. And in this case, this is actually a very common tutorial file. You can follow it if you want to, so you can take a look at it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to define how I want to transfer force from this point up here to this point down there. This is supposed to be a front loader, right? Or this is supposed to be the arm of a front loader, and it should pass from here, or it should the force should be applied from here, and I will have a restriction down there on the load that I want to pick up, and this is going to be my pivot point, sorry. And in this case, I set up what I want to keep, the green geometry, what I want to exclude, or what's going to act as the obstacle geometry. That is, I don't want to touch none of the red parts, because those are actually parts that are already in my design, right? And I'm defining here what manufacturing methods I want to use here, okay? So I'm telling the software I want to find solutions or ways in which I can create a component here by using 2.5 axis or 3-axis milling or 5-axis milling. If I want to just have a sheet metal part and do 2-axis cutting, or if I want to cast the part, right? I can define several types of loads as well. So for example, my first case would be a force. There we go. A force applied in the lower part and the constraint applied on the top. Okay. The other case that I want to analyze is the other way around. The force applied on the top and the constraint applied on the bottom. And I can specify different cases, different different forces. For example, in this case, I'm changing the force, and I want to find solutions for all of those cases. All right. So when I have set up my model and I generate the solutions, this is when my extension will kick in. This is where I'm going to get the message. Obviously, I have the subscription, so it's not going to show me. But here is where I will see this type of messages. So you want to do the analysis. This is going to cost you this amount of credits, or you can subscribe to the extension as well. Correct? In this case, after I run my analysis, this is what I'm going to get. I'm going to get different types of solutions depending on the loads that I have, depending on the manufacturing methods. Okay. So for example, you see that if I were to use 3-axis milling, I could create this part, right? So very, very lightweight. This is going to transfer all the loads by using the least amount of material possible, okay? Or if, let's say, I only can use 2-axis cutting, right? So this part is going to be a lot heavier than the other one. But in this case, I will be able to just have my material there and cut my material around, right? And as you may have guessed, the solutions that I get here are depending on some objectives, okay? So usually you would expect the objective to be the amount of mass, right? But there are many, many objectives that I can look into, okay? And I might wanna check how my options compare to one another, okay? So I get tools here to make those types of analysis. If I'm gonna check my maximum bond misses stress, right, against the mass of my part. So I will see that this solution is gonna have a lower bond misses stress, right, and a lower mass than this solution, for example, right? Or this solution, the ones that I'm using as stainless steel, for example, those are going to be very heavy, right? I will see that that Fusion is recommending these solutions, right? But ultimately, the solution that I choose depends on my on the designer, right? It depends on what my my constraints are, all the factors that I need to look into. But this is a very, very useful tool, so I can explore how all the ways that I can, in which I can design this type of feature. All right. If I want to use this solution that Fusion found, I can export that solution as well, right? So in this case, I'm exporting this solution to my design environment. If I want to, I can modify my design, right? Let's say that I want to create a fillet here, or if I want to fill in this, or if I want to do some modifications. So it's a very, very useful tool, and it goes hand in hand with my simulation. All right, so in this case, what I did is I exported my solution here. It's not actually this exact one. It's a very similar one, more centered. I prefer this one, and with a little material savings here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate how this would work based on the loads that I have. Remember, you always need to check the design so you can see if this works. So we will see probably on other webinars how we can set up this type of studies, right? But in this case, I've already run how this would look under a certain load and some conditions, right? In this case, I set up my my part. I set up my constraints here. I set up my load. So this is a very basic stress analysis, right? So this is showing me just the displacement, 2 millimeters. So not that much. If obviously this is exaggerated, right? This is it shows like this. So you were able to see the how it deforms, right? But this is actually very big part. So the deformation is not that high. Well, let's suppose I want to check for my third load case. So that's the one that has the restriction up here and force up here, down here, how my stress would look. So on misses stress, as I would expect, maximum bond misses stress in this concentration point, right? But 45 megapascals, that's very low actually for steel. I specified that this was supposed to be a carbon steel, so it looks good. Actually, it's kind of it's a little too big for what it needs to do, right? And that's basically what I use my simulations for, right? Depending on the type of analysis, I might want to need to subscribe to the extension. So, for example, for this type of analysis, I actually don't need to subscribe to the simulation extension, right? Because the static stress analysis don't consume any tokens or anything like that. But if I'm going to analyze another thing, for example, my model frequencies, so I want to analyze how this would work under vibration, right? So now I would need my simulation extension. Like I said, I could subscribe to my extension if this is something that I do on a daily basis, or I can just purchase tokens. And when I'm gonna send my simulation to solve, that's when the simulation is gonna ask you, okay, if you don't have any subscriptions, you need to purchase the tokens, right? So in this case, let's say I want to analyze the model shape for the first mode. Let's see, speed fastest, step 10, 2-way, there we go. So basically under our first mode, this is how the arm would vibrate, right? Under this load condition. Well, not load, actually under this constraint case, right? So basically, if I constrain the part here. So that's on our simulation extension. And now I want to talk a little bit about our signal integrity extension. Okay. So in that case, or for that one, open my. Actually, give me just 1 sec. I'm gonna open my electronic sample here. Fidget spinner. Gotta wait a little bit. All right, so right now what I'm seeing here is my PCB design for my fidget spinner. That's one file that will be available too under your electronics examples. And in this case, my signal integrity extension will allow me to analyze the signals, okay? So if I'm on my PCB and I'm working on my Analyze Signal tab, this is going to be available with my extension, right? So let's suppose I want to analyze, let's see, my LED 1. So I got LED 1 here. I got 2 signals coming on from that one. So N3 and N13. I want to check how all those signals work. Okay, so I'm going to go to my analyze signal. Let's say I want to analyze N3. 1 gigahertz, and I'm not going to target any impedance. I want to analyze the entire signal, and there we go. So you see that the signal it's supposed to go into my LED here, and Fusion is going to show me how the routing of the signal is and how the impedance works in all the routing. Okay, so I'm able to see the time delay in each one of those segments, right? The impedance for each one of those, and I can make better decisions for my PCB design, my electronics design, based on how this works. I can check if my signal if it takes too long to get where I need that signal to get, or if I need to modify something to reduce the impedance or something like that. All right. Okay. So this fidget is actually a good segue into my other models. I'm not going to save this one. Not going to save that one either. And so I'm going to see other extensions here. All right. So I'm going to check my design extension. Right. So in this case, what I did here is I modeled a little case for my fidget, right? And this is supposed to be a plastic part, right? So what I did here is I used some features. Actually, let me hide this to create a plastic. I used the design extension to use some plastic features. All right. So specifically for this case, what I did is I used my lip tool, right? So these 4 tools are not available unless my design extension is active, right? So I created a lip. Actually, let me modify the one that we already have. And so this is very, very easy tool to use. I specify the path that I want to use, how I want to guide that lip, and basically I define all the geometry for my lip. Okay, so if I need some angle there for my lip, or how wide I want it to be, my recess, all of that. So there's no need to do complex operations, do complex sketching, creating a bunch of extrusions, all of that. We can take advantage of very, very useful tools like boss, snap fits, using lips, or creating geometric patterns, polymetric lattices, all of that with our design tools, right? So I got one lip here and a lip there for the lid, body lid. And let me take my section there. And you see that I can use all of the tools that are available in my design environment to work with my design extension tools as well. Okay, so that's the reason why those tools are not in a separate environment, because the idea is that you use them along with the regular tools. All right. Okay. And so now let's suppose I'm working in a very complex environment or a very complex company, and I want to keep record on my life cycle of my product. Okay, I want to define that this is supposed to be on review, or this is supposed to be on development, or this is out there already on production, or it's on the end of its life cycle. So to do that, I'm gonna use my manage extension, right? So this is the second one. I can manage change orders, I can manage items, I can manage bill of materials, all of that from one single environment. Okay. So with the manage extension, I can assign item numbers, that is specify that this is supposed to exist in my PDM as an item, right? And I can make change orders as well. So I'm gonna assign an item number for this part. And this one is actually going to take a little while. So I'm going to open a part that I have already here. Okay. So when I'm creating part numbers and I want to check or I want to manage all of that, I can open my Fusion Manage window. Okay. So going to the dashboard or going to details or going to change orders is going to open my web environment for my Fusion Manage. Okay. So from here, I will be able to manage all the projects that I have available. All right. So in this case, I have some, have set up some workspaces. Let's say I want to check the designs that I have already here. So for example, I have created this design before. This is a tuning machine for a guitar, and this tuning machine is actually on it's on another design actually, right? But it's supposed to be on work. All right. So I'm gonna check on that item, right? I can check on what my workflow on my life cycle is right now for my tuning machine. So first I created it, then I open it. Now this is on work, right? But when I finished with my work, let's suppose that as a designer, I finished working on that one. I want to submit that to review. Okay, so I'm gonna hit submit to review, and now the part is under review, and the person who has assigned this task will receive an email saying, hey, you know what, I don't know, Nicholas, I don't know, whatever, the reviewer, you need to check on this part, and then you need to approve the part, you need to return to open part, or you need to send it back to review. Basically, you need to do something with that part, right? You can manage what parts are affected, what items are affected. You can manage too if you intend those changes to go on a specific date. Let's say that the work is supposed to have a due date on May 4th of 2024. So you can specify the date here. Obviously, this one I created last year, so that's a long overdue, right? But basically, you can manage how the life cycle of your part is. So this is a PLM software, sorry, that's available for you with Fusion. It integrates into Fusion and lets you manage all of your parts, all of your projects from the Fusion Manage website, right? So you can access this Fusion Manage from anywhere in the world, right? You don't need to even have Fusion open or anything, right? And lastly, I guess this is one that we've seen a lot, the manufacturing one. So what if now I actually want to manufacture this part? So I'm going to start my manufacturing environment, okay? So right now I have set up my, sorry, my part here. Reference, yes, I want to click through references. So I selected machine here. I'm gonna use has desktop mill. I'm gonna specify that the model that I want to work with is this one. I just want to create the bottom case. I don't want to specify the lid. I don't want to manufacture the lid for now. So basically, I'm gonna hide this. Oops, this other one, and I'm gonna work on that one. If I'm working with the machines that Fusion has available, you will be able to see the models of the machine. That's very, very useful information that you can bring in as well. But it's not necessary that you have exactly that machine. That's actually something that you can take a look into with our manufacturing classes as well. Let me run a couple operations here, pretty quick ones. Generate. There we go. So we're using a 1/4 inch. Really I'm doing millimeters. So yes, 6 millimeters flathead mill for these operations, and 2 inches face mill here as well. So let's simulate how this looks. A little faster. Looks good, looks good. Actually not that fast, so you're able to see it a little better there on your screens, right? I can check how this is gonna work, the position of my tool, the statistics, how long this takes, the machining distance. I can check for collisions. I can check on how my toolpath is gonna work. So basically everything you have on my regular machining environment, right? But with Fusion, you get the option to use a regular or very, not, let's not call that simple, but less complex 2D operations with regular Fusion. Or if you want to go with more complex tools, with more complex machines, five 5-axis machining, if you're gonna go with 4-axis machining, those kind of things, or 3+2, then is where you want to get the machine extension and unlock all the tools that you have available there. Right? So the take here is that basically Fusion is there with many tools that are very useful for most users. But if you need something very specific, if you need a very complex tool, or you need to run a very complex analysis, the extensions are there to help you, and they have the flexibility to be used just when you need it. Okay, if you need it all the time, or if you just need it every once in a while, they're there so you can unlock it as needed. All right. So I guess that concludes our webinar for today. I don't know if there are any questions.
Thank you, Jose, for this wonderful presentation. Let me check if we have any questions. Okay, the first question is, do I need to subscribe to the simulation extension to be able to run all the available analysis types?
No. I mean, if you just want to run the static one, static stress, you don't need extension. You will see the window letting you know that if you want to run this ones, you need to purchase tokens or use tokens that you have already purchased. But you just need to confirm, and you can keep working on the simulation extension. When you're gonna send the simulation for solution, that's when you're gonna solve, when you're gonna get the results. That's when the charge comes in, if that makes sense. All right, but you can absolutely keep on working, and you can use some of the tools in the simulation environment. Just like on the manufacturer, you can use the 2D tools or 2.5 tools, just like that. All right.
Thank you. The next question is, if I don't have the extensions available, can I set up a model so other person can keep working with the extensions?
Yes, you can. Let's say that here, so you don't you don't need the simulation supposed to be run by another engineer, right? You can set your model up. The good thing about Fusion is that it's a collaborative environment, right? And so your team will be able to see your designs, work on those designs as well. And depending on the extension, you will be able to set up everything, right? So let's say that I want to work with the generative design tool. So I can set everything up, have it ready, right? Uh, Specify the preserved geometry, specify the obstacle geometry, specify the loads, everything. And I can save this as it is right now so other person can keep working. Okay, so yes, you can set it up. It's just that the person that has extension is the one that needs to send it to solution, right? Or is the one that needs to create these operations, all right?
Alrighty. And also, I would like to remind you all that if you want to learn more about Fusion in detail, you can always take a custom training with Jose. And we also offer group classes online. So, yeah, I don't see more questions. So, I would like to remind you the upcoming webinars. We have tomorrow the Design Trinity, Revit, Bluebeam, and Mockups. And then we'll have a very highly requested one on April 17 about Autodesk's new way to buy. And then we'll have on April 18 maximizing Beam with ACC strategies. So yeah, be sure to be checking the Microcap website for future webinars and register to the most that you can, even though if you can make it, so you can get the recording. So I would like to thank Jose and thank everyone for attending. Thank you all.
Thank you, Juliana. Thank you all. I hope you have a great evening and see you around.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.